Hi, my name is Aloho, and I'm a graduate of MIT. This video is on functional groups. The properties of an organic compound depend not only on the arrangement of its carbon skeleton, but also on the chemical groups attached to that skeleton. We can think of hydrocarbons, the simplest organic molecules, as the underlying framework for more complex organic molecules. Different chemical groups, called functional groups, can replace one or more hydrogens of the hydrocarbon, and these groups can participate in chemical reactions or contribute to give each molecule its unique properties. The properties of different biological molecules depend on certain characteristics of groupings of atoms called functional groups. Each functional group has certain properties such as shape and charge that causes it to participate in chemical reactions in a characteristic way. If you know the properties of some of the functional groups, you'll be able to quickly look at many simple biological molecules and get some idea of their solubility and possible identity. The names of the six most important functional groups are hydroxyl, methyl, carbonyl, carboxyl, amino, phosphate, and sulfohydryl. Now we'll go into a little bit more detail on each functional group. The hydroxyl group is the OH. What's important to remember about the hydroxyl group is that it's polar due to an electronegative oxygen. It also forms hydrogen bond with water to help dissolve compounds such as sugars. The compound name is alcohol, and specifically the name ends with an OL to denote the fact that it's an alcohol. Next up is methyl, and this is just another hydrocarbon, CH3. Methyl groups are nonpolar, but they can have a strong effect. For example, they can affect the expression of genes when on DNA or when proteins are bound to DNA. It also affects the shape and function of male and female sex hormones. A compound that has this functional group is called a methylated compound. Then we have a carbonyl group, and this has carbon double bonded to oxygen, and it's polar. Sugars with ketone groups are called ketoses, and those with aldehydes are called aldoses. You can learn more about those in a concept video about carbohydrates. Now we have carboxylic functional group, which is similar to carbonyl except it also has an OH. So it has the carbon double bonded to an O, an oxygen, but also bonded to a hydroxyl group. Carboxylic functional groups are charged because it can ionize to release a hydronium ion, or H+. And since carboxylic groups can release this H+ ion, they're considered acidic. Compounds with this functional group are usually known as carboxylic acids for this reason. Now we have the amino functional group, which doesn't have a carbon. This time it has a nitrogen bonded to two hydrogens. Amino groups are also charged like carboxylic groups, but this time they're basic. They accept H+ ions to form NH3+. Since amino groups can remove the H+ from solution by accepting it, they're considered basic. Now we have the phosphate functional group, which has a phosphate attached to a whole bunch of oxygens pretty much. And this functional group is also charged because it can ionize and release H+ ions. And since phosphate groups can release these H+ ions from either hydroxyl component of it, it's considered acidic, just like carboxylic acids. Finally, last but not least, we have the sulfhydride group, which has a sulfur attached. And this functional group is polar. In fact, this functional group is actually really important for forming crosslinks. If you have two SH groups, they can interact with each other, and the sulfurs will bind each other and they would lose the hydrogen, and this forms the cross linkage, which is used to stabilize proteins. You'll learn more about the specific role each functional group plays as you continue with the concept videos.